everybody. Welcome back to Movies with Malice. Yeah, we skipped a little week there because I really wanted to think long and hard about what I wanted to choose for like my February kind of like Valentine's romance love theme movies. Now, first I'm going to say I don't like technical romance movies really, unless we're talking about maybe like I don't know, is you know, Legend that's kind of like a romance, like stuff like that maybe. But yeah, really the kind of movies that I think I would consider romantic. I have categories of those, and I'm going to start off with my two favorite ones, and these are the sex and violent romance ones, and so that's True Romance and Natural Born Killers. And these two are like two of my favorite movies ever. And I think I should start off with True Romance because there's just so much, I think, well, first of all, I also think so many people also seen Natural Born Killers. That's like a super popular movie. But a lot of people don't know about True Romance, and it's kind of like a cult classic or, you know, whatever, a hidden gem. And if you've seen it, awesome, because you should. Because it's mind-blowing how many amazing actors are in this movie. First of all, like, all these movies have great actors, all the movies I'm going to talk about for Valentine's Day stuff, but True Romance has like some of the best acting from some of the best actors, you know. So I mean, starting off is Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, but people might not know it's also got Dennis Hopper, it's got Gary Oldman, it's got Samuel L. Jackson's like an early role in here. Thinking Tom Sizemore's in both of these movies, small role in each one of these, and thinking who else is notable. There's so many good ones. I don't want to cheat and look, but I kind of have to. Well, Brad Pitt's in it for a second. Did I already say Christopher Walken? There is one of the best like scenes is like, so let me just start by saying kind of what's going on in this movie. So this movie starts off, Christian Slater's like, you know, like by himself. He's like trying to flirt with this girl and get her to go see a kung fu movie with him, and she's not really into it. He goes by himself, and that's where he finds Patricia Arquette, and she's like just hops into a seat next to him and asks to like get filled in on the movie. And they end up like, honestly, this movie cracks me up because they instantly fall in love, and I always think that those are kind of ridiculous. I think it's cool if that works for you. I've just never really, I'm not one of those like love at first sight people. It takes me a while to like develop feelings for somebody like that, but it's like, this is like instant. It's like that day. Oh wait, I believe in love at first sight if we're talking about dogs, because like, yeah, that works for me. But anyway, so they fall in love instantly-ish, and then within, I mean, this just cracks me up. Within like, I don't know, that night of them meeting, then Patricia Arquette's character was like, oh my god, by the way, I've been a call girl. Then like, but it's been like 4 days. She was a call girl for 4 days, and she's all like crying about it and ashamed. And so Christian Slater goes to like pay off the like pimp, and the pimp is played by Gary Oldman. And you guys, if you haven't seen Gary Oldman with dreads, you have to see this movie just for that by itself, because he honestly looks so good with dreads. I think I'm not a big fan of like white dudes with dreads, but Gary Oldman really kills it with this with his dreads in this movie, and just the character he plays. Honestly, I'm gonna recall the documentary that I'm in, because the guy that I dated back then, Jackie, is like that character. I swear to freaking God, that's like the same person. Like, they based that character off him, except for he didn't like shoot people, but he did collect guns, and he would have. Anyhow, so yeah, he goes over there, and I think Samuel Jackson is like one of the bad guys in that like drug dealer scene. And you know, he like, you know, Christian Slater goes over there, he's like, you know what, she's, you know, like, my girl, like, her name is Alabama. Alabama isn't going to be with you anymore. She's going to be with me now. And he like pays him off, but like gives him an empty envelope, which he sees, and then they end up having a fight, and you know, that turns into like him killing him running off with her stuff. It turns out the stuff is like a huge case of cocaine. And this is where the movie starts to piss me off, though, because I'm like, okay, like, you're going to keep this cocaine, knowing that these drug dealers are going to chase you around now for the end of time to get this cocaine back. And of course, that's what ends up happening. And, but he, you know, Dennis Hopper plays his dad in the movie, and he goes to his house for a while to, like, find out if these people are hide out from the guys that are looking for him. And then, yeah, when the bad guys come later on to Dennis Hopper's place, that's where you see a really good scene with, what's his face? I'm so bad with names, you guys. Christopher Walken. But, so Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper's scene is so good. Probably nowadays, I don't know if that scene would fly. There's some N-word shit happening there, and, like, pretty offensive shit. But it works towards their characters and their stories and what they're trying to do. And I mean, we all know this is written by Tarantino, and so you already know that that's just the way he writes, you know, and it's like supposed to be kind of like aggressive, and the tone is like that. So, but it's just his writing is so good, because like the way that they are arguing with each other is, how do you explain it? It's like where they're smiling, knowing that they're like about to kill each other or about to be killed. And there's something so beautiful about that. And, I mean, they're just such good actors, and having them play those roles is really cool. Christopher Walken's like mafioso, and Dennis Hopper's like an ex-cop, and they're just beautifully, just that scene alone is worth watching as well. Then, you know, Michael Rappaport plays like a, you know, trying to be an actor guy that Christian Slater's friends with. He comes to LA to, like, you know, try to get him to sell this cocaine. It's like Bronson Pinchot is like another cocaine dealer guy they try to hook up with to meet this other cocaine dealer guy, and they're trying to sell this shit. And like Christian Slater's all smooth with it, and the whole time, like, Alabama, the girl that plays Alabama, Patricia Arquette, you know, she's so hot in this movie, and she's like at some point in her hotel room, and Christian Slater's off like doing something, and she gets, is that where Tom Sizemore comes in? Yeah, he comes in, and like, of course, he plays like this creepy, like, bad guy, and you know, he tries to, like, you know, like beat her up, but also like kind of like make moves on her, but they end up like in a really serious fight, and like, you know, she fucks him up, and then they, you know, that ends up like a murder. Christian Slater comes back, they run off with the cocaine, they're like, they're still running from people. Then later on there's like, I don't want to give away the ending, but then, you know, all the actors in the end, well, the ones that are still living, end up like colliding, you know, the mobsters versus the cops versus the couple. So the love story is going on through the whole thing, and of course their love builds through the whole movie, because, you know, like, they keep kind of killing people for each other or whatever, and, you know, that's so romantic to me. I think, you know, like, if you really love someone, you should be willing to murder for them, right? No, I'm kidding. But I just like these kind of like sex and violent movies. I think, you know, they're very tongue-in-cheek, and it's more like, these are really more about, you know, kind of just like the kind of love that you would go crazy for. Like, you're just insane, you know, like, I think really, like, once again, like, the only time I would like murder is like for my dogs or something. Like, I've had friends that like go crazy in love, and they get, you know, yeah, I think that's kind of bad. I don't want to get involved in a relationship where I have to murder people. So anyways, now moving on to Natural Born Killers, I feel like everyone has had to see this movie. If you haven't seen this movie, I don't know where you've been. I just don't know. I don't know how. Oliver Stone directed this movie, and as you know, it's how I mean, this is the essential crazy in love movie because, I mean, they go on a killing spree. He kills their parents. You know, like, I'm not giving you anything away because I know everyone had to have seen this. Juliette Lewis in here, just like so hot in this movie. Oh yeah, there's so many great actors in this too. Of course, Woody Harrelson, Robert Downey Jr., Tommy Lee Jones, like all these characters. And like, what I love about this movie is how they really, like, this director really made sure to use all these different filming styles in this movie. You know, like like, I love the scene where, you know, he comes to the parents' house and like they turn it into like a sitcom like scene, and like, you know, it's like one of those old movies. Rodney Dangerfield's in there, and like he's being the creepy dad, and but it's kind of like a what's that, Married with Children kind of feel, and but then kind of more old-fashioned, vintagey. So they use that, and they use, like, when the reporter comes on, they use that kind of filming style that they use when they are, like, reporting live on scene and stuff. And, you know, like, when they go to the prison, they've got, like, Tommy Lee Jones kind of perspective where it's, like, everything's kind of, like, going in and out of the sound. Oh, and speaking of sound, the soundtrack for this, I have listened to since it came out. Like, I mean, of course, I already love most of the bands that are in this, but, this soundtrack is the 90s pretty much to me. It's like, you know, it's got some L7, it's got some Nine Inch Nails, it's got some, oh my God, I can't even think of all, just look it up. It's a great soundtrack. Oh, Rage Against the Machine too, I think, in there. So good. And, you know, it's just, you know, they start off, you know, like, just being crazy in love, and they just get more and more in love through the movie, and that's like what ends up kind of like saving them from their own demons, you know. It's like after because really they're just murdering people to escape the places where they were feeling trapped before, and then, you know, once they're in prison, you know, they have to murder more to get out so they can be together. But I mean, that's also, I think both of these movies is really just about, like, you know, like these people fighting like the world to be together. It's like people are trying to, like, keep them from, all they wanted to do was be together, and people should just let them alone. And you know, I just think these to me are like tolerable romance movies, because I can't really get down with like watching just like a love story or reading one. I don't know about the rest of you, but that's just not like how I was raised. I don't you know, like I just kind of have always found them to be a little unbelievable. Not saying I don't believe that people fall in love. I just think, you know, like a lot of the romantic movies and stuff are just kind of maybe stereotypical or something. But yeah, I mean, I picked these because they're my top two favorites in that kind of like sex and violence. I mean, we could also, you know, bring every single vampire movie up, because that's what almost every vampire movie is, like is a total love story. And I mean, if I was going to do those, then we'd have to like talk about 100 movies. So not those, or like, you know, a lot of my friends would pick Sid and Nancy, or like one of those movies. But Sid and Nancy I like, but kind of honestly, I think that movie is a little bit, I don't know, it's like kind of annoying. It's just, it's kind of I mean, it's depressing. They die, so I don't know. It's, you know, yeah, it's not very tongue-in-cheek, funny love story, which I would rather have. Anyway, I think these are the top two. And next week I'm going to talk about a couple of movies that I picked to be another kind of romance genre that's more in like sci-fi, but it's more like, that's also, you know, where it's like they're fighting the world to be together. And oh yeah, and we also know that the story of this was, Natural Born Killers was written by Tarantino as well. And I think that's where we get a lot of that sex and violence from, obviously, because most all his movies have that element. And definitely that's the kind of like, you know, romance movie that I'll be drawn to. So these are my double feature picks for pre-Valentine's Day. And if you haven't watched, you should watch. And if you have watched or whatever, or if you just go watch now, tell me what your favorite parts of these movies are, or what you think would be better than these. We can discuss that. And yeah, thank you for watching. And next week I'll have 2 more for you and some more tutorials coming up. And thank you everybody that's been subscribing and liking and commenting. It's been super great so far. I'm still, you know, trying to figure out how to do this perfectly, but thank you all for support. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.